Hello everybody. So I have been driving cross country. I just started my drive from California to New York, which I'm really excited about. And I just recently crossed over into Arizona. I got to see the Grand Canyon for the first time, which is a travel destination that has been on my bucket list for so long. So I was excited that I got to see it. It's been great, but I've also noticed how because of all this travel, it's really messed up my routines and my schedule, and I found myself being really unmotivated to do things that I need to do, whether it's writing a YouTube script or answering emails or doing these monotonous life maintenance things. I just felt really unmotivated to do them. And then the first thing I realized is if something is really important, I will get it done. I think important shows up in a few different ways. Is this something that will affect someone else? Is there a deadline? Is there only one opportunity to do this thing where if I don't do it now, I'll never get to do it again? Whatever those varying reasons for something being important are, I will get something done if it is important at the time. So one of the things that I realized is I need to stop beating myself up with not doing these things and realize that it will get done no matter what. Maybe something is not as important right in this moment, but it will be 2 days from now. And so that means 1 day from now, I'll get it done. But what I shouldn't be doing and what none of us should be doing is beating ourselves up for not being motivated to do these things if we know that we're going to do them eventually. Many of the things that I have the quote motivation to do aren't because I muster up the motivation as those things start to happen. It's really because I've pre-decided that those things are important to me. So one of the examples is one of my goals this year is to really hone in on my fitness and nutrition. And so I have 2 rules. It's I have to work out 3 times a week and I have to stick to a certain nutrition plan. And those are my only 2 rules. And I've noticed how even when I'm traveling, and I have crazy number of hours in the car, or I'm in a different city and I don't always know where a gym is or know what foods I have access to, I still get those things done. I'll plan where I'm staying based on if there's a gym nearby, or if there's a gym in the hotel that I'm staying at, or if it's in an area where I could replace a gym workout with a bodyweight workout. And also, it doesn't matter if I only have access to gas station food, I will cobble together a weird Frankenstein meal based on what food I have access to at the gas station. Like yesterday, I ate a bunch of deli meat and pickles and a potato, and that made up my meal. But I realized, why don't I take the same approach of this is important to me, fitness is important to me, and I'm just gonna get it done no matter what with other parts of my life? You know, what is it that's making fitness so easy compared to some other things? And I realized it was because with fitness, I had decided way ahead of time, this is something that I was going to be focusing on. So when we talk about motivation, it's not really motivation. It's really, what are the things that you've decided are important to you that you are going to for sure do? And how do you fit it into your life? So really, motivation is just automation that is a result of you deciding that something is important to you. And creating a simple rule system that's easy for your brain to understand and for you to follow leads to you doing the thing that you have to do. Another thing that I've noticed is that there are different levels of intensity that I experience around how I work. So I could have bouts of really intensely working on something and producing all of these results and producing all of this outcome. And I could have really low weeks where I'll do half or maybe less than half of what I used to produce. And what I realized is I have to be okay with that. For example, all of last week before I started traveling, I was cranking out all of my work. I was really deep into it and getting a lot of things done. But then when I started traveling, my output started to decrease. And that reminded me that it doesn't really matter what levels of output that we experience at any given week, as long as we keep going. As long as there's some sort of action, some sort of forward momentum, that's what's important. And that it's okay that things don't have the same level of intensity. The question that came up for me as I was thinking about this was, if I know that I experience moments of deep work and I know that there's going to be moments where I put out work that I'm not as proud about or don't feel as good about, wouldn't it just be helpful if I save my energy for the moments where I know I can do deep work? And as I thought more about it, I realized I never know what's going to land. I could spend 4 days of deep work on something and it'll be completely ignored. Or I can spend 30 minutes on something and everybody thinks it's great. But I never know what's going to get what reaction out of other people if I'm producing something that's for the eyes of other people. And so what I have to do and what's within my control is just doing the work no matter how I feel about it, and then I can just deal with however that lands or is experienced by other people based on how they react, but I won't know unless I do the thing. As long as you're doing the work, that's all that matters, and you let go of the outcome because you don't know what the outcome is going to be. So really, all motivation boils down to is realizing that the important things will get done. Something that's not important today may be important later, and if that's the case, you will do it later, but in either case, it'll still get done. We shouldn't beat ourselves up for thinking and feeling that something else is not important. In fact, our energy is much better spent focusing on the things that we want to do and that we feel are important, as opposed to the things that we think are obligations or that we're being forced to do. And lastly, levels of intensity vary. We should focus instead on our inputs and doing the work, as opposed to whether or not we feel like this is an intensely deep work session. Just realize that those boring, monotonous tasks are all part of the process. So just wanted to share those thoughts with you. I'm gonna head to bed because I have an early hike tomorrow. That's all for now. Take care, y'all. See you next time.